What's happening, fellas? We are live for episode 9 of the Stadia Source Roundtable podcast. How you all doing?
Outstanding.
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
I'm just loving the fact that we got a minion on this one.
No.
You didn't tell us it was fancy dress.
It's not, that's why it's funny.
No, use your normally in fancy dress, so I decided just to join you this time.
If I know, I would have put on a suit.
I don't want to know what Ash is wearing, given that he's not showing us via his camera.
No, I don't have a camera at the moment because I've now got a PC, not a MacBook.
Man's in his birthday suit. So it's been a week. We've got quite a bit to talk about today. So one thing I want to start off with, as we usually do, is what we have been playing this week. So let's go with Duncan. What have you been playing?
I have been playing this Division 2, as you may have seen earlier with my amazing stream of Kelly, where I get called all the names under the sun. I have also been playing some Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I've just got a Shadow PC up and running again, so I've been playing some PC games.
Yeah, I've gone for Division also. Finally got to the DLC part now, so I've got to try that out. I haven't actually played it yet. And NBA, trying to get it leveled up for when the Stadia Super Saturday stuff kicks off. Playing with Ace, he's hosting a few games, so I thought best make sure it's ready.
Okay, and Ash, what about you? Nothing. He's been playing absolutely nothing.
He's just been doing as he is, or he's been playing with himself.
Oh, God.
It's that new PC that doesn't work.
Okay, I'll kind of skip him and go on to myself. So,
I was muted.
Well, go on then. Tell us what you've been playing.
The Crew 2 and Assassin's Creed. A few days with no PC at all. And now I'm back. So, Crew 2 again.
Should be what have we been eating this week, Duncan?
So this is a raspberries, pudding, and custard. You can't beat that.
So I have been playing, and it's not a Stadia game, so don't hate me, but Resident Evil 3. I finally got around to playing it. Completed it. It took me about 6 hours to complete it the first time over like 3 days, and then I've literally just ran through it all again today in 3 hours. So got myself the infinite handgun, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it, to be fair.
That's really short though.
It is, but only because I know what I'm doing, if you know what I mean.
I was going to say, I know the originals were, and speedrunning them has always been a thing, but 6 hours is like almost indie territory today, isn't it?
Yeah, well, to get an S rank, apparently, on hardcore, you can complete it in 1 hour, 45 minutes or something.
That's insane.
But obviously, you'd have to pretty much know all the puzzles off by heart and which areas to go to that are necessary and which aren't. But there is, don't forget as well, the whole, I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but the Resistance, is it? The co-op 4-player one?
I think it is something like that, yeah. I remember seeing it because that was going to be a beta by itself originally, wasn't it?
Yeah. So there is more to play, and obviously there's different modes and stuff, and there's different unlockables that you can get, so it gives you an incentive to run through it multiple times, but yeah.
Yeah, seeing the achievements pinging on your Twitter.
Thinking, oh, traitor. But
well, it's a title we kind of all thought, well, not thought, kind of hoped that we'd see on Stadia anyway, though, isn't it?
I would have loved to have seen it on Stadia. It almost broke my heart when I had to buy it for Xbox. And then I had to obviously sit and install it, and it was... I would have loved to have it on Stadia, but we'll have to wait.
can I jump in here for a second? It's something we all wanted to talk about anyway. It's just because we've got Chase in here. I just want to shout out Chase, Ralph. I always get his name mixed up. Ralph Gaming.
Harris.
Yes, Ralph Gaming. And I would also want to shout out Adam of Stadia Rocks. All have had all sorts of issues. I don't want to say issues. They've been under the weather and other things. So we're all hoping everybody gets well soon and their spirits up there and they can laugh at me in this amazing suit.
Yeah, I'm not feeling too brilliant myself, if I'm honest, but just get through this and then I can pretty much... I've got an extra day off tomorrow with it being bank holiday. I know most of the people in the world right now have got time off, but not me, unfortunately. So
your sins.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and catch up on some sleep and some rest. But so obviously one of the biggest news this week was the launch of Stadia. Do we call it Stadia Base?
Although they are still promoting it on the website as that. I know it hasn't been updated for a long time, but that's as official as it can be right now, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's going to just be called Stadia from now on. And the base is going to get just used for base version, as in just for like just to differentiate. I can't even speak tonight. Differentiate. Someone say it for me. Or don't. Differentiate between the two.
Differentiate.
That's the bad boy there. Okay. Between the pro version and the non-pro version.
Yeah, I've watched various podcasts. I think it was like the TGOS podcast and Chase's that say when you have PlayStation, then you have PlayStation Pro. So you know what I mean? You have Xbox and Xbox Live. So why wouldn't this just be Stadia and then Stadia Pro? Makes sense, doesn't it, to call it that? But I guess just for you know what I mean, to make people understand what we mean when we say Stadia Base. Because if you say Stadia's launch, well, you've got some people that would be really pernickety and go, well, it launched in November. So... But have you guys noticed an increase in activity on like social media or in game? Like, are the lobbies bigger?
Yeah, the easiest one you can jump into now if you want to see a difference is not even Destiny 2. We've got Destiny 2. You can see the figures, which we can come to if you want. But it's if you jump into grid multiplayer, there is now lobbies, and there is lobbies with actually a fair number of people in them. So we are seeing the growth there. Charge has got a wee point in the chat that the pros even got a new wee logo as well, so we can see that, which you've got done now.
Yes, the parallelogram.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that because I thought, I'm going to have to update the icon on the website now. So, but luckily parallelograms are easy to code. So, why do you think they did that? Is it just branding or wanted to appear cool?
A bit of branding, just because Stadia is now launched now. They want some wee thing. Probably. It's not a bit for me. It's not even a big thing.
No.
Yeah, I guess it's probably just a bit of a throw out to the fact that it's launched. So it's just updated in general, isn't it? Like you say, I don't think Stadia Base is ever actually supposed to be a term that they thought people were going to pick up and use. I think it's probably more our fault, which is why I asked in the stream, in Chase's stream the other night or day, whether or not it was ever officially termed Base. I know the website called it Base, but I couldn't remember hearing a Phil Harrison or anybody call it Base, but they did say that it had been done. But yeah, I agree. I think moving forward, it will just be Stadia and Stadia Pro.
And I've noticed on Reddit as well, we've got quite a few people basically coming out and saying Stadia is amazing. I had my doubts, or now that they can obviously create a free account and try it out for themselves, people are like, I don't understand what all the hate's been about. and people are even admitting that they were part of the hate spewing as well until they got a chance to try it. Have you noticed that at all?
Yeah, and I think we're going to see a big increase at the end of the month when we go into the pro games, because I think the next 2 months we're going to get interesting pro games. I think we're going to get our wee small games, which we normally get through the indies, but I think we're going to get 2 bangers over the next 2 months just to keep people hooked, and then we're going to see the numbers really jump up.
Yeah, I think for me it's like I've noticed it as well, and I think it comes down to a mix between, like you said ages ago, Dan, that people still love the physical aspect of stuff, and the other side is a lot of people still don't like change. They're used to having what they've got, still scared of like going into the unknown of like cloud gaming because what if this happens or what if that happens? But again, you've got that risk for literally everything that comes out. So like the next Xbox that comes out, there could be a major issue with that, like there was with the original having the red ring of death. People went straight for it and just risked it. And it's the same with Stadia. Why hear all the negative and not try it out and see what it's all about?
Especially when it costs you absolutely nothing to do it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to highlight a comment there. Has anyone seen Stadia TV ads yet?
No, I haven't.
I've seen a lot more on YouTube and ads in games on my phone, but
yeah, actually, it's funny you say that, Ash. I've seen several people comment on Twitter today saying that they're seeing Stadia ads on their phone.
yeah.
Again, I still haven't, so I'm guessing it's targeted at people that have played Stadia through their phones.
Yeah, I even saw one person as well, which I kind of couldn't hold my tongue. I had to chime in, and that was someone saying that, you know, the Google Takeout method that you can download all your data from. Someone saying that you could use that to hack Stadia because you can obviously modify your game save files and like all your achievements and stuff by that. And I'm like, but you've got no way of uploading that back to the Stadia server. You can only download it.
Yeah. Plus, you can't overwrite any of the server settings anyway. So even if you could upload it, it would still be nullified by whatever was already in the server. It's the same as amending HTML files, isn't it? You can change any website in a live status, but as soon as you refresh it, it's going to go back to what it is. Yeah, that's a weird one.
People were saying you could use it to cheat and have an unfair advantage in a game, but
yeah,
I just couldn't hold my tongue on that one. What are you going to say, Duncan?
I can't remember because I'm just stupid.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is the breaking news.
No, it's not the breaking news. There is breaking news during the show. Yes, absolutely. There is.
I like how it's so breaking that I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no social channels open right now.
Doesn't it look like Duncan's wearing a high face jacket here?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Without the hood.
So anything else to say about Stadia base launching at all?
We do have the Destiny 2 numbers out there, which shows that they were jumping from 2,000 or 3,000 the day before base launch up to about 30,000 after base. They are on the downward trajectory again, but we're not talking like majorly. It's again, I think the base, we may just see it sort of plateau for a bit until there's big games hit pro or a game of interest will come.
Now, of course, you can't just take Destiny 2's numbers for stat-wise. You could also look at the Division 2, because I think most people have defected to Division 2 and the Crew 2.
Yep, we do. I know my friends list here, which I've got a fair number of people on now. I just add everybody because I'm just random. So if you want to be added, work away. Most people, Philip, it's actually a big change in this today. Normally,
No one's online.
No, normally it's been the Division 2, the Division 2, the Division 2, and everybody, but there's starting to be a bit of a mix. We have Red Dead Redemption, we've got Assassin's Creed Odyssey behind us, and the Division 2 and Red Dead as well. So it's starting to mix up a bit.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot more people playing Red Dead recently, and I think it's partially to do with the fact that Meg's playing it. Like a lot. To be fair, my friends list is a lot of it now is actually people that I genuinely talk to, because I had like 40 odd people on there, and I knew hardly any of them other than the obvious guys I speak to. So I got rid of a load of them, and I've had a fair few come back in recently, but I have no idea who they are. So I'm accepting some of them, but then it's like the old Xbox thing. I used to have like I reached capacity on how many friends I could have, and like I talked to 6 people. This is just pointless. Got rid of them all, and then they just come back again. It's like, all right, so you guys know me, but I have no idea who these people are. And you can't message somebody in Stadia. That's the issue. It's like, all right, yeah. So unless I start a voice chat with you, I have no way of finding out who you are.
Yeah, I think that needs to come relatively swiftly now. The messaging, just for handiness for people. There's been a couple of threads on Reddit about it where the people are wanting messaging to talk people through Destiny and organize things because they don't have mics. So yeah, I think that must be up there this third get done quickly.
I honestly thought that feature would come before base launched, just because it's such a fundamental part of gaming nowadays is to be able to message one another. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you think base was meant to launch now, or do you think they are trying to use it with the situation, or a combination of both sort of thing?
So I have a weird take on this, because my answer to your actual question is no, but that's only because I think base should have come earlier. I still think that the very end of March, 31st of March, was going to be the date that they were looking at, and with what was going on, they decided to postpone it, and then everybody else went ahead with like their news, and I feel like they were just like, this is probably a good place for us to lay that out. And I said it earlier when we were talking with Chase last time when we had the live stream going, that I feel like this has been the very first time Stadia has had an opportunity to go after everybody else. Everyone's made their move, and then they've been able to walk in the room and just go, yeah, sorry guys, nobody's going to be talking about that. Here you go. Stadia is now available to the world. Well, to the 14 countries that are supported. But it's, yeah, I don't think it was meant to come out when it did. I think it was meant to come out earlier. And I think we've only got maybe a third of the release that we were probably supposed to get.
I genuinely think it's down to the coronavirus, if I'm honest. The way that they keep marketing it, I mean, they keep tweeting out multiple days now, saying about how you can play it for free and you can play with friends and whatever. It's almost like they're trying to sell it as, because everybody's indoors, you know what I mean? We're trying to almost save you from boredom by releasing base. That to me is how it's coming across when I'm seeing these messages anyway. So I think it was definitely a deciding factor in them releasing based. I thought probably we might have had to wait a bit longer if it weren't for this.
See, I think it's a combination of both what you're saying. I think base was meant to launch in March. I think it was nailed on. We had Get Pack ready to go. And all that. With the coronavirus, I think they just knocked it in the head and said we can't do this because everywhere else is sort of winding down things. But then Microsoft made the move so they could make the move. So I think it's the combination of both. They're using it. I don't like saying using it as an opportunity, but that's what it just to get it out the door and get people playing.
I mean, in most terms, like, I don't think any traditional console could have managed this, because you'd have been asking people to go out and spend hundreds of pounds to achieve that, and that's the difference, I think. Could you imagine if Xbox had the same idea and been like, you know what, we've got physical units. I know they haven't, but say they already had a stock of physical units, and then they were just holding on to them for the sake of budgeting and getting the best quarter that they could towards the end of the year. But it just wouldn't work. There's no other platform that could do this, that could just turn around and go, yeah, well, if you go and drop 500 quid while you're either out of work or on a reduced salary and nobody knows what's going on, it just wouldn't work. Whereas Stadia has that ability to go, cost you nothing, just buy the games that you want to play. And while you're at it, have 2-month free subscription and collect like $160 worth of games at the same time. Although it baffles me the number of people that are turning down the pro subscription because they don't want to enter their details. This is Google. Out of all of the people to trust with your credit card information, they're probably one of the safest.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people just being put off with scare stories. Oh, there's massive lag, there's massive this, massive that. That's why I'm saying that watch out for this month's pro games. I think they're going to be just absolute bangers, and you're going to be nuts not to try. Even with the Destiny 2, I don't think they're even marketing it as Destiny 2. The collection, they're just saying really Destiny 2, when they should be saying this is Destiny 2, this has got your expansion packs, this has got your season pass, you've got everything in it. You need to go out there and start talking about what's actually in it.
Can I just highlight probably one of the most important comments this entire...
I don't know what's coming.
That's because I'm here and I'm making everybody look better.
And because Ash isn't.
Yeah.
Shut up.
This guy.
You get my silhouette instead.
If Ash's camera was on, it wouldn't have been a true statement, so...
Yeah, partially. My beard's not as big as that right now, so...
Yeah. And Tommy's on the Magners. I'm on the Attaboy.
I actually forgot to get a drink, so my mouth's dry right now. Like, yeah, it's camel's foot dry. I might have to just go get a drink in a minute. But anyway, let's move on to the next topic, which is the new games that we had announced for Stadia, one of which Duncan predicted way, way long ago, Republic.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
So
I think we should let Duncan take the lead on this. I'm pretty sure he's quite happy to say what I know he's going to say.
You do that. You do that. I'm going to grab myself a drink.
No worries. Yeah, it's the reason why we worked it like that. Oh, no.
Damn it, I was almost king.
The reason why we worked out that Republic was coming to Stadia was because they were meant to have a GDC talk, and they said they were porting the game to Stadia, and it was just a matter of elimination to say which game it was going to come. What do you think of the other two games there?
So Monster Boy, I think until I actually play that game, I won't know what my real opinion is. Like, the look of it, it's not my kind of thing. But at the same time, I think when you're playing it, it might be a bit more fun. I generally like the kind of platformer game, but I don't know, there's something about that just didn't really tick a box for me. West of Loathing, if that game's not free, I'm probably, even when it's free, I'm not sure I'm even going to touch that game. It just doesn't do anything for me to look at that game. It reminds me of the old Flash days of going on eBaum's World, and yeah, and just I don't see it doing anything.
Quite a few high-profile YouTubers have been playing it, though. I think when it came out, like I literally had his name in my head until I went to say it.
So that reels Tommy out anyway.
But yeah, I've seen people like on YouTube, like the top YouTubers like Jacksepticeye and what have you. They've all played it, so there is something to be said about like the humor behind it. You know what I mean? The way it plays.
Yeah, I suppose a game like that, it has to be written extremely well, because you're not getting anything with your eyes.
Markiplier, that's it.
Markiplier, yeah, I like it. Have you guys been? I don't know if any of you, not either of you, have been following his other channel that he set up, which is called Unus Annus. It means 1 year, but they chose that name on purpose in Latin, and they are releasing a video every day for a full year. And once that year is up, which I believe is November, sometime in November, every single video has just been deleted. It'll be gone forever. There will be no history of them. It's a really cool idea, and they literally had like 2 or 3 weeks before they hit 1 million subs. It's just like, wow. I watch random bits because it's too much to take in constantly, but it's really funny, so you should check that out.
Until someone downloads them all for archival purposes.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the internet. You can't delete the internet.
As soon as that channel goes down, someone else will open it and re-upload it all.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you touched on this while I was getting a drink, but when it comes to Republic, that is actually a free game on the Google Play Store.
Yeah, I saw that the other day. Saw it online, checked it out, and yeah, saw it on my phone. Just for me, I'm just going to wait for it when it comes to Stadia.
So I've heard people basically complaining and saying, if that's not a free title on Stadia, you know what I mean, what's the point? Because you can already download it on your phone for free.
Yeah, see, it's kind of a moot point though, isn't it? Because like Epic Games release free games every month that are still paid on Steam or wherever, just because it's a different platform. I get that you can use Stadia on your phone, but you're still leveraging a lot more power through Stadia than what your phone is capable of delivering by itself. So, but what is odd is that is probably going to come under a what do they call it? Game? It's not Game Pass. I've forgotten what they're calling their mobile play subscription on Android.
Oh, I know what you're on about. Yeah, I can't.
Yeah,
Play Pass.
Play Pass or
Play Pass, yeah, that's it. Sorry, that is in direct competition with Stadia, and until that possibly extends into Stadia, which is how I see that moving forward, I think they're rolling it out, getting people to use it on the phones, and then one day they're just going to turn around and go, by the way, Play Pass now exists on Stadia. Here you go, sign up.
So what I think, if you're going to be playing Republic on your mobile, like on mobile Stadia, obviously you'd be better off just getting it on the Play Store. But I can honestly see this being maybe a pro deal at some point in the future, like a pro game for free. Just to kind of give people that initial opportunity to download the game for free like it is on the Play Store. But then if you miss that chance, sorry, you're going to have to buy it.
I just see a lot of these games are just getting on the system for the eventual Game Pass system. And this is not meant to be as disrespect or anything like that, because I like a lot of these games which have been on the system. They're just a lot of games which people would count as filler. Just get out there, fill up the library, and get it going. But again, you always discover good games, because I am looking forward to Monster Boy when it comes.
I've not really seen too much about that actually, but
yeah, and I think Ash is going to be writing an article about Republic and other things, so stay tuned. Aren't you, Ash? Or am I speaking out from turn?
You need to look at the comments there by Random Noob.
Yeah, I thought it'd be something like that as well. So it's episodic.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense. Maybe I should have looked a bit more into that.
Damn you, Dan. Your fake news.
Yeah.
That with a game on Steam a few years ago where episode 1 was free, but then all the ones after were like $5.99 or $7.99. So I can see why they'll do that.
Yeah, and I have to agree with Charles's point. Even if it's not next week, it's going to be in a couple of weeks. I think we are going to get a bigger sort of title. A title that will get people interested, because there's a couple of interesting people on the list who could drop some games. I'm looking at Konami. It wasn't. I'm pretty sure Konami was on the list, and now it's got Pro Evo writ all over that for me.
Because more football games you could see there. Is that your prediction of the week, or are we saving that until later?
I'll go for that. My prediction of the week: we're going to get Pro Evo this year.
This year. So we also had listings for 2 new games as well on the German Stadia ratings website.
Das ist gut.
Das ist sehr gut. And that is Zombie Army 4 and Ember. So has anybody had a look into these games? And
Ember looks like it could be fun from the very base amount of the game that I've seen. Zombie Army 4 is, from what I can tell, is actually just a spin-off, isn't it, of Sniper Elite against zombies instead.
it is, yeah.
I used to like those games, and I've actually found that other than the graphical fidelity, I've actually found that the games have got worse in the series. Like, I enjoyed them. Actually, I never played the original, but 2 I really liked. 3 was quite good. And then 4 I didn't really like. I don't know what it was. It's just something about the game. I just felt like it was overly repetitive and I didn't really enjoy it. And for that reason, I'm not really overly excited by Zombie Army 4. Although I think when I was listening to MM2K's stream the other night when they were playing Division, they were talking about the fact that you can actually snipe a zombie's nuts off. It's like, right, well, you know, I'll play it just to record that, and then I'll refund it.
You've got to complete the game using only nut shots.
Funhouse did that, and that video was quite popular. So
I've played a Zombie Army. I can't remember which one it was, but I probably got about halfway through the game, and I was like, "There's other things I'd rather be playing." So I don't know if I'll pick that one up unless it's in some sort of deal or.
Yeah, there's just some games out there which you think just play a bit off and you won't complete, and I think that may have a bit of a look off it. You may not get to the end of it. The thing with Stadia is, if that's on deal for like a £5 or £10, you would pick it up and have a blast for a couple of hours on it, shooting the zombies nuts off, and then just forget about it, and you don't have to download it and all that. So you've got all the Stadia perks. And that's the good thing and the bad thing about Stadia. It's just it just tempts you just to buy games because you don't have to wait for them.
I mean,
for me,
sorry, go ahead, Ash.
For me, I'm definitely going to give Ember a go. To me, it does look quite fun and entertaining. But with this Zombie Army 4, I'm not too sure about. If it has multiplayer, then why not go around shooting balls? Otherwise, I don't really see.
It's not the first time you said that, is it?
It probably is. But other than that, to me, like Duncan said, I'll play it for a bit and then kind of get bored of it.
Yeah. So coming back to Duncan's point about just downloading, well, not even downloading, but just being able to play games. Like, obviously, I've been an Xbox Live subscriber Gold for a while, and you obviously get your free games every month. And I've probably got hundreds of games in my library waiting to be installed just because of the Gold. And there's games that I probably would play, but I really cannot be bothered to wait for them to download, even if I can just leave them going in the background, if you know what I mean. And then having to obviously manage my storage, just to install Resident Evil, for example, I had to delete 3 big games, like Tekken and a Call of Duty, for example, just to be able to play this one game. So having to free up space is not ideal. But with Stadia, obviously, you just hit play and you can have as many games as you've got installed in one go, and you could just go ahead and play it whenever you want. So that's, but like Duncan also said as well, it's not good on your wallet if you're one of these people that wants to go out and buy every single game that comes out just because it's in a pro sale. So, which kind of leads us to the next point, I guess. Unless there's anything else anybody wants to add to these two.
No, I'm done.
So the pro deals currently. Any of you been tempted by these?
I own all of them except Kine anyway, so
As we're just discussing there, got, and got.
Yeah, for me, I'm the same as Tommy. I've got Tomb Raider and Red Dead. Kine, I'm still half and half about. I don't know whether it's something I want to get or not. But
Yeah,
I've
not been tempted.
With Kine, I would check out Adam's review on Stadia Source. He gives a breakdown of it, and that review will help you decide if it's a game for you. Personally, I've played it for about 5-10 minutes. I think I will come back to it, but it's not my sort of cup of tea. I'm not going to return it because I don't want to.
Bye, Adam. Hi, Eddie. Yeah. So I don't know whether we touched on this. Were we talking about this when base launched? Because I know we did an impromptu live stream then, didn't we?
Yeah.
And that is the Red Dead Redemption 2 deal, and the fact that the special and the Ultimate Edition are only a few dollars more than the actual base version of the game. So unless you're really, really trying to count those pennies and save money, you're better off just buying the Ultimate Edition, which kind of makes this batch of pro deals. To me, there's only 3 games, or 3 deals, even though technically there's more. Anybody else feel that, or is it just me?
Yeah, the Red Dead one's a weird one, so it is. I can't actually see it because I've got Red Dead, but I do. The way it's been priced, you wouldn't buy the special edition. How much is the normal edition? I don't actually. There's like only a couple of quid between them, isn't there? Really?
yeah, it's not much of a difference, and that's fine. But the sale is actually one of the smallest sales I think we've seen so far as a pro discount. And I get that it's also the only Rockstar game that we have, and it was a very, very big game. I can't quite remember. I actually bought I went halves with my missus to get an Xbox just to play Red Dead 2 when it came out. But this was the first game I bought on Stadia when Stadia was active. And it was the first game I tried on Stadia, and it looked awesome in 4K upscale, whatever. And it's a great game, but to be honest with you, I've played it maybe 4 times since middle of November.
Yeah. Do we think we're going to get any more games in Pro? Yeah, this week or next.
I'm still hanging on to I think at least 80% of the entire catalog will be on a pro deal. Not necessarily the deals that we've been seeing, that level. They may be some of the smaller ones, but I do think we'll see the majority of the catalog on a pro deal before the end of April.
Yeah, I think that too. And I think you could just looking at the library, everything could go on because the library's that small. Even if it's only a wee small one, you could see every single game on sale. And I think it's slightly disagree with you. I think we're maybe not a lot of big deals, but I think there's going to be a game or two which is going to have significant discounts where it's going to hit the hardcore market, if we're counted as a hardcore market, and I'm going to give Stadia a try because Assassin's Creed's a $5 or do something big like that.
Yeah, I definitely believe that now that Stadia is fully released, they are going to start doing a bigger deal. Because obviously then it brings more people in, it gets people more interested in the games and whatnot. And yeah,
it's just it's very difficult to argue with any platform when you haven't got to pay anything up front to gain access. I mean, even if you were buying, I always reference Xbox. It's because I haven't owned a PlayStation since PlayStation 2, so I can't really chime in about their service. But like, if you bought an Xbox and it comes with 3 months gold or however they do it still now, before you had Game Pass, that 3 months of gold gave you practically nothing, and even now, actually, you've still got to pay for the Game Pass separately, haven't you? So,
you can get Game Pass Ultimate, which gives you, it's bundled, plus you get the PC version as well.
Yeah, which is what I have, but I took it out when they first launched it, and they did that pound deal, and whatever your current subscription was, you could buy. I bought an extra 12 months at a reduced rate, which just meant that I still only paid £1 for a year of Ultimate Edition plus the normal live bundle cost. So it's like 40 quid or whatever it is for a year. But what's happened to my camera? That made sense. But like with Stadia and getting Pro for free, so you get the entire platform for free, you get Pro for free for 2 months, and you get 9 games instantly plus 2 months worth of additional titles, whatever they're going to be, to come on as well, and access to the Pro discounts. You've never had so much bang for a buck from a publisher of a platform before. Nobody's ever done that before.
I can see, I've seen it in the community. People are calling for most, if not all, of the games to go on sale. Now, up front, this might seem like people just feeling a bit entitled, if you know what I mean, because they want cheaper games. But if you think about it, most games have had a sale so far on Stadia at some point, but only if you've been here kind of since the beginning, like November time. If you're new to Stadia now, you've missed out on most of the deals that we've had. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, most deals are probably going to come around again at some point anyway. They'll always be in some sort of loop. But I can honestly see them doing a big sale just to try and entice those, and I don't know if this is what you were just trying to say, Tommy, to entice those that have been given the free Pro trial to say, you know what I mean, these are the deals. If you're going to ditch Pro after it expires, at least you can still take advantage of these deals now, just to kind of squeeze that little bit of money out of them. Is that what you were trying to say? Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that they've been clever about how they've done this, because everybody that signs up, providing they take the free trial, is going to get access within 2 months to buy whatever game essentially they want on the Stadia platform at a reduced rate throughout those 2 months. I don't think there'll be a single game that doesn't have a Pro discount attached to it by the end of that duration. So it's just giving people the chance to try it properly for free. There's in absolutely no cost at all. And whilst technically they're not getting the best version of it, because as it stands currently, the Chromecast is still very widely perceived to be the best way to use Stadia. And certainly at the moment, playing through the browser, I have noticed more issues recently, and it's not a Stadia only thing. My internet is up and down throughout the day constantly at the moment with the additional levels of users, I guess. But it's just people are starting to see the cat's just randomly knocking everything off my desk. He disagrees with what I'm saying, but I just think that it's just the option for everybody to be able to be silenced, really, by saying, right, well, I've tried it and it worked. Now I might as well try it and buy something I actually want to play, and I've got that forever. Then I can just jump into whenever, regardless of if I'm a pro sub or not, as long as they purchase the game.
So I've got a thought for you here. What game has been doing the rounds on Twitter? A big game in the UK, which has been doing the rounds on Twitter, which is available in Stadia. If you're,
I thought you were going Valorant then.
if you're a sports fan, okay. Football Manager.
Well, because of the free to play, you mean?
No, Football Manager, because of the coronavirus, a load of players are playing Football Manager. Teams, football, the football teams' accounts are using Football Manager as games. So chuck that on Stadia, 20 quid, or it's on Stadia, chuck it down the pool deal for 20 quid, play it in the browser. How many people in the UK would eat that up because they don't have a proper PC to play? That's a knockout deal there. And this Football Manager guys absolutely love Stadia. If you see on their Twitter, they are promoting the hell out from Twitter, saying this is the best way to play. Not the best way, it's an easy way, no access or no barrier to come back to Football Manager. They get this home for 20 quid. I can see it doing bonkers numbers or for Stadia.
Yeah, and I haven't played a Football Manager. I don't like football, to preface this, but I when I was in school, I used to play Football Manager with a load of friends just because it was a really simple but competitive game that we could all play on our laptops. Back then were not exactly useful for anything other than LimeWire, but I agree that I could see a game like that really actually taking off on this platform because you have the ability to play it on your phone if you've got a support device, or Android if you use the workarounds most devices, or if you have access to a computer with the Chrome browser on it, you can just log in and play the game kind of anywhere. It's a perfect kind of game for that, really.
So I just want to highlight Random News comment as well. I agree, because if some cancel the trial after 2 months, they may not come back easily. While if they purchase something, they are more likely to stay and resubscribe. So if you invest any type of money into Stadia, you're not going to want to kind of leave that behind. As it's not impossible that someone might, but you might want to kind of give it another try if you've got money invested into it.
Well, it costs you nothing to do either, does it? Once you've already purchased it, that's there. You can go back to it at any point for free. You just have to type in the word stadia.com and hit enter.
Yeah. So I think if they do go down that route of making things on sale, I think it's going to entice a lot of people to invest in Stadia. So
yeah,
anybody else?
It's like what Epic are doing. Epic are giving you the free games, and then you're putting on these sales. As you know, the Epic game sales on at the moment. I was just having a wee nose about it just to see what the crack was, and there's actually I've got a voucher which I didn't even know about, so I'm getting £10 off the sale price as well.
Got the same voucher.
And I don't even know how I got it.
Neither did I.
So
I've bought one game in the lifetime of it, and I refunded it, and I've still got it.
Yeah, so it's just trying to get people out there. If you make your first game, that's you in the ecosystem. You buy your first game, so I am expecting some really cheap games in a sale within this 2 months. It may not be next week. It may not be 2 weeks. It's going to be within these 2 months. There is going to be a big sale. Some of the games are going to be ridiculous prices just to get the first purchase, to get people, I'm not going to say trapped, but just invested into the Stadia.
You mean trapped?
Yeah, I highly agree with that, because with these 2 months, they've got the prime time to, obviously with everyone being at home, try and bring in as many people as they can, get as many sales as they can to, again, get people to invest in Stadia, and then see how many stick around.
I think we'll find out.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, I think...
Tommy, go ahead.
I was waiting because I knew as soon as I started talking, he was going to talk. This is also the reason why I've seen people discussing this. I know Raf and Rock have both discussed this on Twitter already, but I still think that we are going to see Get Packed come as a pro game now. And a lot of people are saying, yeah, but that doesn't make sense because everyone's got pro at the moment. They do, but for 2 months, or they haven't signed up to take that sub out, in which case they've still got to buy it. Get Packed is not going to be a game that comes out and disappears in a month's time. It's, in some ways, I know this isn't like a first party game, but in some ways I feel like it is, because Stadia have been there since its inception. The game has been designed knowing that it's coming to Stadia, and the crowd play aspect of the game and the features that we have on Stadia, they're so much more than Stream Connect. And I honestly think that game will be a staple game for Stadia for probably the rest of this year.
Exactly, Tommy. It's going to be the streamer's dream game. And if I want to talk business here, I can see when someone buys Stadia from a streamer's account, they're going to get a cut eventually. So this is going to be a game which is going to do. I think this is going to show a lot of potential, and it will become, as you say, for this year. It's going to be the one the streamers are going to go to get people to join in with them in their streams. If they're give me £5, you can stream with me now or play with me now, which I have talked about before, which they need to be careful of.
The thing with that, though, is I know a lot of people are like, it's a bad idea to put everything behind a paywall, but at the end of the day, I think you'll quite quickly see the big streamers that are being signed to YouTube over the last couple of months are obviously putting content behind the paywall of Premiere anyway, but when it comes to 6 months down the line, how many people are going to be paying the same level of subscriptions once there are multiple people out? Like right now, they may subscribe to this purely for their one streamer who they get to give that subscription to for free with their Premiere account anyway. But when it gets to, Twitch sort of levels, I was trying to find actually numbers for like this part of the year, because all I can find is from very early 2019 when Twitch have got like roughly 70% of the streaming market, and YouTube had 7%. So they literally had 10 times the amount that YouTube has. But we know that figure has shifted, and Mixer has also got bigger in that time. But if everyone started trying to charge, like you say, £5 to play the game with them, I'm not sure how long that would last. Like a couple of quid, absolutely, people are going to play it all the time to play with somebody who they seem as a celebrity to them.
Yeah, the £5 was just something I just grabbed out from my head. The bigger ones would go for that, or say Dr. Disrespect or whatever, whoever comes on the thing, give me 20 quid and you can play with me now, sort of thing. That sounds right. And,
especially dressed as a minion.
You can tell it's getting to the end of the show, can't you?
Yep, we're at 15-minute mark and then we're coming out.
You lost your train of thought now.
Yes, I have. I was actually. Oh, yeah, I just remembered what it was now. I think over the next couple of weeks, over the next 2 months, I think we're going to see if Stadia were holding back games.
That's an interesting point. So I just want to.
At Get Packed, I think we're both in agreement that's been held back.
Yeah, but I wonder whether or not, when you say about Stadia specifically, like holding back, do you think there's any element of Stadia have said to CodeSync, you're not releasing this game yet?
Yes, absolutely. Because it's because they have paid for the exclusive of it, so they're going to have some say in it. And I think that not the EAs or Activisions, they've got more power over the indie games, so they can say we're going to hold this back until X time, And then I think this sort of thing has been in the mix for a while, but the coronavirus has just messed things up. I think we were going to get hit by game, and just the library was going to explode. Then we were going to have a lull until the new games coming in the fall. I'm sounding American. Give me a slap.
I think they're purposely holding it back because of the crowd play. And that is, they want to wait for the dust to settle. I think I've said this before in the previous podcast, but I think they want to let the dust settle from base launching, so that then when it's settled, they can kindly go, by the way, here's a game that has this feature. This is brand new to Stadia. No game's ever done it before on Stadia, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden it's almost kind of bringing that curve back up again of excitement, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, I don't know whether or not Stadia would. I understand what you were saying about the fact that they've paid for the exclusive, so you're absolutely right. They will hold a amount of power over how that game is delivered and when that game is delivered. But it'll be interesting, not that we'll likely ever find out, but whether or not the option was there for the developer. I mean, don't get me wrong, there is no point releasing that game without that feature. As far as I'm concerned, I said it before, I wouldn't care if the game was delayed until the end of this year if it meant that it launched with that service, because if it's not there, you're essentially getting a beta of the game in some ways instead of the finished product.
By the time they do introduce it, people have lost interest in the game.
Yeah, because that whole element of being able to do that is, for me, that's what I'm looking forward to in that game, being able to play it with people and having those funny sort of one-off unique occurrences happen because of the way that you're playing the game. And I mean, it's going to be a fun game, we know that, but if it comes without that, then I do think it could run the risk of getting buried after a couple of weeks, in the same way that I absolutely adored Spitlings and I still think it's a great game. But now, if I'm not going to play it with somebody, it's not a game that I look at in my library and just think I'm just going to sit there and play through it by myself. It's just not the same experience as the hectic and the chaos of playing that game with 3 other people.
So, Duncan, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, Get Packed is a sort of game I am expecting on Twitch this summer. These sort of smaller games where you can just jump in, jump out fast. Spitlings is another sort of one you could see. Just the smaller ones, which aren't going to be as server intensive as the Division 2. I was just trying to think of the name. I see a lot of them wee indie games which are all co-op is what's going to go on the Twitch with the Amazon offer. And so, yeah, Tommy's right. If they don't launch this with this is going to just get overlooked going forward. Even if they launch it and say it's coming in a couple of weeks, that will be fine. But if it's not within the first month or two, you're going to lose a lot of the enjoyment of it.
Yeah.
So I know you kind of answered this already for Raf, but I want to bring it up again because I kind of had a thought, and that is, if you notice the frequency that we're getting game announcements at the moment, we're getting at least like 2 or 3 a week now, which makes me think that there are probably a lot more games that are ready for Stadia rather than just announce a load in one go. I think they're trying to kind of spread them out a little bit just to kind of keep that. It's almost like breadcrumbs, you know what I mean? Little by little, keep people interested. If they just announced all these games are going to be available at some point this year, yes, you're going to have that initial surge of like people going, that's cool, but give it a week and it'll be yesterday. You know what I mean? I think the phrase is like, today's news is tomorrow's fish and chip paper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So by having it weekly, they're spreading it out and keeping people's interest peaked.
Could you imagine logging on and seeing 120 games in Stadia tomorrow? You just never get through them. There'd be so many things that you completely missed and overlooked. Perfect example to go back again is Motocross 3. if they launched 120 games at launch, that game would never have ever have been touched by me. I know full well that it wouldn't have, and I love the game now. I don't play it, to be completely honest, very much, but it was. I've got fond memories of playing that game with people and having a laugh that would have been completely overshadowed had even another 10 games come out at that point. It just wouldn't have been something I went to because it's not in my usual sort of ballpark of what I would play.
What I was meaning, they're going to release games. It isn't go, here's 50 games. I'm thinking they're just going to up it like, here's 5 games for the next couple of weeks. It's just to build up the library a tad more and then go back to the slower one.
I think it's to give each game its kind of time to shine.
Yeah.
Because like I completely agree with you, Tommy, on that one. And I'd not even thought about that until you said it. If they just release loads of games in one go, you're gonna first and foremost buy the games that you know you're gonna like. Whereas these other ones tend to be a little bit of a gamble, but gambles that tend to pay off, hence Supercross. Like, and I know that a lot of us got the game given to us for Stadia Super Saturday, but there's also been other games that you've kind of seen, oh, they're only a couple of quid. I've got nothing else to play right now. I'll give it a go. So
I think other people have made this thing comparison. We're a bit like the Switch as it started, where the game started off nice and slow, then the ramp up. I think we're going to be doing exactly the same, and these games will be overlooked. And it's just going to be a matter of time of when Stadia just starts pumping them out, and when all the ports come.
Especially when you have Stadia Maker launched and active as well, whereby people can onboard their own games. We will see an influx of indie titles that way for sure.
I have no problem with indie games coming as long as it's
No,
just.
me either.
You just need to mix off them. It's just as long as there's something for me to play, I don't really care. But I do want my football game. I want my as Tommy's dying there. More Magners for Tommy, and
please don't die on cam.
Well, it's got to be worth some views.
Yeah, I just want the games what I want on the system are Slay the Spire, and I think that's got a good chance of coming because it's already got a Linux port. I'm pretty sure. So I'm touch wood. That's the game I want because they can introduce State Share. They can introduce Cry Play, so where people can choose what card you're going to take. There's just a lot of wee things you can actually do in Stadia, which would make that game completely fresh again. And I want shooter. Everybody wants like a Call of Duty or something. Just I'm going to go to sleep and just chill out for a bit and just go around shooting people. Everybody has their chill out games.
I think we've said in the past as well, with there being such a lack of games, let's not beat around the bush at the moment, on Stadia compared to obviously all the bigger platforms, for whatever reason, I'm not going to go into that, but I think we tend to kind of bite at the games that are there rather than waiting for the bigger games, if you know what I mean. We've said this previously, so...
Yeah, I think that's what happened with Spitlings, because Spitlings came when there was a complete and utter null. It was nothing was there, and it was like, oh my god, there's a game coming, and I think absolutely nearly everybody I know bought it, and everybody joined in, and we created Troll Phone. We had lots of streams, and for me, the highlight of Stadia for me nearly is watching the devs' reaction to us all playing Spitlings, and that was just amazing.
I think Sounds of Stadia is still getting great reception on that game as well.
Yeah, it's a bi-weekly event for them as well, isn't it now?
Yeah, it's a good week game, but I think that, as you were saying, it got its time in the sun. But I don't think it's just a matter of time when that sort of thing just dies. We're just going to get 10, 15, 20 games released. That's going to be next year and the years to come, coming every week or every month. We're just going to get loads and loads and loads of games.
Yeah. So, Ash, have you got anything to add to that? You've been pretty quiet. Don't even know if you're still there.
No, I'm still here. I'm still here.
Just
No, I was
asleep.
going to say that with the shush you, with the game release announcements, like with the flow that we've had, I've been perfectly fine with that. The only downside for it to me is the fact that Monopoly's coming out this year. Okay. And
See, I'm actually looking forward to that game.
See, I don't mind it either. It's just for me, I don't mind not getting a specific date, but if they at least give us like a quarter of the year that it's going to come out, then we've obviously got some point in time to look forward to, rather than this is coming out, but
yeah, they have
that's what we're
adopted
telling you.
the coming soon thing again recently, haven't they?
Yeah,
Coming this year. Well, it's April, so thanks for that.
Yeah.
I think we're now approaching the time where they can no longer get away with that. The coming soons. I know Xbox, PlayStation, PC all have coming soons, but a lot of the games have dates on which they're coming, and you know when they're coming. I think we're getting to the point where we're going to need some sort of release schedule. Games just can't randomly appear on a Tuesday and just say, "Oh, we've dropped this game, that game." We just need more timing because audience is bigger now, and especially in this time, people are having to budget their money a bit better.
And I think it builds hype as well if you give a release date, because you can kind of, if it's a game you're looking forward to, you can kind of count down the days. And I actually think I put a tweet out on my my personal Twitter quite a while ago saying I think we should have a rule whereby companies aren't allowed to say coming soon unless it falls within a certain time frame, like a month or something. If it's any longer than a month, then it's not coming soon, is it? So then coming soon needs to have a specified time frame. I know you're never going to be able to get every company in the world to agree to this, but in an ideal world anyway.
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, maybe slightly longer than a month, but like no more than a quarter. If it's coming soon, it should mean that it's coming in this quarter. And obviously,
it's just an arbitrary number. So
yeah, but I do agree with that, because you could have a coming soon for like literally September now. And you're like, well, that's not that soon. That's just nearly half a year away.
Yeah, I just think they're going to get themselves into a bit of bother coming up now with these new release dates and coming soons. But just going back, if you look at the games that have announced over the last month or two, they are actually coming soon, because we only found out about some of these games like in the last month, and they've arrived on Stadia. There's people talking about it's nearly time for a Stadia. I always get this wrong. Stadia Connect. I think I think we do need one. Looking at the time, or sorry, not the time, the date, we're getting in and around E3 or whatever way you want to call it. Do you think we'll get 2 Connects in 2 months when we haven't had one in about 6 months now? I think it may be we'll just have to wait until E3 time to get our big massive Connect. What do you think? Or will there be like a smaller one for more indies?
Personally, I don't even care about the Connects, just because generally speaking, until a platform is of a size of an Xbox, PlayStation kind of size, I feel like it's a lot of effort to address a few thousand people now. I know that for me, if the numbers I'm talking of there is probably circa 100,000 people, I don't think they need to worry about it so much. As long as they put clear communication out in another method, I'm not fussed about there being a big show and seeing Phil Harrison up there talking to people. To be completely honest, I don't care if I never see him again. And that's nothing against him. It's just that he is not a Phil Spencer. He is not a person that lives and breathes gaming. So I don't really care whether or not he's there delivering a message. I would much rather see John Justice up there than somebody else.
You killed Duncan. I'm actually worried about him now. He wasn't getting up.
You said you didn't want to see me anymore since you always call me him.
Oh, right. See, that went over my head. Yeah.
Mine too. I just thought he was tired.
I actually thought it's because I mentioned Phil Spencer. He was like, no.
So that bloody picture of me. He would like a meringue update.
There was no meringue. It was raspberry sponge and custard. It is gone.
Amen, brother. We want John. Yeah. Wondering how long it'll take for him to reappear on Stadia Cast's show, because that seems to be the only time you ever see him, really.
We did the dev one as well, didn't he? He was on
GDC one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But other than that, you don't really see him.
No, but then we don't really see anybody, and there isn't a clear face of who's going to do anything for Stadia. But I mean, to be fair, right now, if somebody was to ask me, like, who do you get your information from when it comes to Stadia, it would be Grace and Chris, and they're just community managers.
Yeah. So I'd like to move on to kind of speed through the next few topics anyway. So Duncan, you're probably the best person to ask for this, but Stadia Plus has had an update. I've noticed that it's...
He's never used it.
Oh.
I'm actually going to give it a try. Sorry, I'm to be absolutely fair, because I did a wee stream earlier using Shadow as just to test it, and it's actually easier to use that than it is my Mac, which is absolutely nuts. And you can't notice any lag on it, or I can't notice any lag. You can check it out on my YouTube channel. There's a plug, and there's lots of swearing in it. Me getting called where's the swear by Kelly behind me. It takes 30 seconds before I'm threatened with violence. So I'm actually going to give Stadia Plus a try on that. So I am.
I installed it ages ago when I first came across it on Reddit, and to be honest with you, there are features in there that I don't think are much use to anybody, and by that you can force Stadia to play in a certain resolution. So even if you have a 1080p screen, you can force the feed to come through at 4K, and obviously you're then just downgrading to your 1080p resolution, which I don't see the point in that. You're actually just causing more work to happen before you get the visual on the screen. But the things that I do find very useful in Stadia Plus are being able to view your network traffic, so you can actually see frame rates, ping, and packet loss, all that sort of stuff, and you can position it in different places. In fact, I think now you can put it wherever you want it on the screen, and things like that actually for Stadia are really useful. Not so much, I mean, like Steam overlay and so on, you've always been able to do that kind of thing, but if you're playing a local game, then that's fairly pointless other than seeing the frame rate. But those kinds of things are useful, and one of the other features that I have played with just to see what the difference is that you can force VP9 encoding, which obviously is Google's proprietary video codec, and it does actually make a difference. Sometimes I toggle it, to be completely honest, depending on how my internet is behaving, to occasionally get a better bit rate, and it can be that difference between the occasional pixelations as you're running around in Division 2. So that is something that I've used quite a bit. But the ability to hide games and so on in your list, it just means that I can have it's quite basic, but I can get rid of the games I know I'm not going to play. So when I want to look through my library, I can just see the ones that are more important to me, and obviously you can unhide them whenever you want to, but it just allows a bit of a smoother UI. I did see somewhere that you're supposed to be able to see how people have reviewed the games from people that are using the extension, but I've never actually seen that happen, so I wouldn't want to comment on that. But actually that was one of the features that made me install it, the fact that you could click onto a game and see user reviews on how it looks, how it plays on Stadia, that's a really useful feature, and that's something Stadia should be introducing
Weren't they
that.
taking that from Stadia Head, the website?
Possibly.
Yeah. So one of the things I want to bring up about this, because I did install it yesterday actually, and I have seen some of it working on the Chrome browser. A couple of things I want to bring up though. Number one, obviously this only works for the Chrome browser, so if you're using your phone or if you're using the Chromecast, these are of no use to you. Another thing is, and this kind of points me in the direction of another extension which we've highlighted before in a previous podcast, and that is the Touch Stadia.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you noticed the article that I wrote not long ago about Stadia might be adding touch controls to the mobile version of Stadia. As some of the strings were found in the APK teardown by 95 Google. So I wonder how much of what Stadia Plus features is actually running on borrowed time, so to speak.
Yeah, I think unfortunately for them that this is likely to be absorbed in probably the next 6 months. I feel sorry for him for that because it's clearly quite a bit of work that he's putting into it. But anything native is going to run better than a third-party Chrome extension. And the other thing is you're not likely to ever see this in any form integrated into a Chromecast, whereas the Stadia native one will be, and that'll make quite a big difference. I mean, there are things that you're not going to see Chrome do, like Google do. They're not going to allow you to force a different resolution. That's not going to happen. But I don't see the point in that anyway. It's like, I know, depending on what GPU you have, when I had my AMD, I could force resolutions in that and get fake 4K on a 1080p screen, but it's not 4K. So again, you can rescale something as many times as you want. All you're doing is making the image worse. 1080p can do 1080p, that's it. But it would be nice to see them come out and integrate these kinds of things anyway. I also haven't tried it yet, but I did notice when I read through when I put the article up on Stadia Source and I was reading through all the content, that it mentions Stadia Party Chat is much more stable now. Well, as you guys will know, that whenever we've tried to play anything, we've had to use our Discord server for voice chat purely for me. I haven't yet tried it, but I'm wondering whether or not Stadia Plus version 1 was actually the root cause of me not being able to use party chat, because in-game chat worked. It's purely party that didn't work. Be interesting to see.
Definitely.
And I just getting back to the voice chat, I think that's just a disaster. It's such a pain in the rear end. Anyway, it's so fiddly. I find that it's just fiddly to get working. The party chat, and then there's group chat, or what's a party chat, and then just normal chat, and it's just messy.
Though I do like the way that you can change relatively easily. Like on Xbox, it was a massive pain to switch between party and live in game chat, just because the amount of time it would sometimes take for the guide button to actually open the menu. Then you'd have to go to the relevant section, then you'd have to change it, then you'd have to back out of it again. At least with this, you literally press the Stadia button, one click to the right and A, and then you've got the drop down. It's just there, it's done. But yeah, again, it should just be more fluid. And the fact that if you're in a party and in a game chat, that it doesn't auto mute or at least cancel the sound from the game chat, so you end up hearing everybody twice.
Yeah, we had that once, didn't we?
Yeah. And actually, I think when we had it, it was with Chase, and he was playing on mobile, and on mobile, it doesn't even give you access to those features. So he physically couldn't turn off the audio, so had to have it twice. Well played.
We've got a couple more things left to talk about before we start coming to the end of the show. And this next one's a big one. And
she said.
I was literally about to say that. So, Stadia Super Saturday is coming back. And was it the 25th, if I'm not mistaken, of April?
I hope so. Otherwise, I've lied to people.
Yeah, it is 25th of April. Starting off at, oh geez, this is going to be bad, 9 o'clock UK time. What I think we can come out and say we're kicking it off like we did the last time. We're going to do the introduction of the day, and I think that's all we can give away at the moment.
Yeah.
I've kind of announced something else.
Go on, you might as well say it then.
Oh, was this earlier in the show?
Earlier in the show?
Yes.
No.
Yes, you're saying. Should we give the breaking news then?
Go on, we'll give the breaking news at the bottom
okay.
as
well. For the people who can't see that, the breaking news is Stadia Arcadia has reached 200 subs, so he will soon Just Dance. If he gets 300, he will be doing it in his swimming shorts.
Well, the fact that hasn't been run past me isn't anything, but I can quite comfortably say that as soon as Duncan tweeted this, I lost a subscriber for this. So I'm fairly confident that I will be doing Just Dance, but I will not be doing it in swimming shorts because it's not going to happen. I'm not going to get 100 subs.
So, understand, if this gets to 300 subs, you will do it in your swimming shorts.
Yes.
So you're that confident it's not going to happen, you were willing to agree to this, yes?
Yes.
Okay, we have it on video. There's no going back on this now.
Everyone spread the word.
Everybody make fake accounts.
That's fine because I only. No, I'm not going any further. I'm not making this harder.
And they have to be shorts, not speedos. So I don't want to see.
There has been a request chat.
How many for my birthday soon? 1,000. Yeah, I thought it'd be funny. I have no problem with making a proud of myself for doing that. It started off as a joke, but once it got said on Chase's show, I was like, yeah, I kind of have to do it now because Eddie called me out on it. So yeah, it's a thing.
I think the people need to witness this just to cheer them up because everyone's in isolation and
yeah, they may stay there for different reasons.
So back on the topic of Stadia Super Saturday. So I think we've announced
my second unsub.
What? Someone just does that?
Stuart said in the chat. I haven't checked, but yeah, I did get somebody unsub for apparently just trying to grab subs, and I wasn't doing it for fun, so they've unsubbed from me.
So I've got to be careful what I say because I've not really been keeping up with absolutely everything that was been said in the chat, but we're going for a shorter time period initially, aren't we? I think for the day.
We're not doing a full 24 hours.
Well, you never know. At this moment in time, we are not 24 hours, but you never know what will happen.
If the demand's there, it will be.
Yes. So it's just we're just keeping. We haven't got everything nailed down. What's all going to happen yet? So just keep an eye on Stadia Saturday Twitter account, and we will keep you updated about it.
I think what it is obviously 24 hours is a long time if someone kind of wants to consume all the content. And I know you can go back and watch it all on catch up if you miss it on the day, but we had quite a few people last time that were soldiering on and trying to stay awake for the whole 24 hours to watch everyone, which is brilliant, but it's not really fair on those people. So, and also we've got a lot of content creators at the moment that are kind of sharing. How do I put it? Sharing the platform.
There's a lot of crossovers happening.
Yeah. Like, I mean, take, for example, TGOS. They've got Raph, Andy Morphs, and Wingy, whereas they've all got their own separate channels. And don't get me wrong, on Stadia Super Saturday, if they want to do their own separate content, that's fine. But you may find that some people team up and produce 1 hour of content rather than 3 separate hours per streamer, if you know what I mean. Maybe. It's obviously up to them.
Yeah, I think the format will be easier for people to see more this time around. Definitely. Which is better for everyone, really, isn't it?
Yeah. So, again, if it's anything like the last Stadia Super Saturday, it's going to be an amazing day. We had thousands of people watching throughout the day last time. We had prizes that we gave away. We had competitions. So expect to see more of the same, I'm hoping.
Yeah, not everything's finalized. We're just getting the news out there now that it's coming Saturday week now. And I wonder if someone's checking my tweet I've just sent out.
I'm not actually, no.
Well, he's back looking at his porn. And we're just getting the news out there. I think maybe later this week, maybe before or after the Stadia roundup, we might have something. But I know in the week up leading up to Stadia Super Saturday, I will put a post on Reddit and try and get it seen by everybody.
Yeah, and it'll be great if we can get. Obviously the influx of new people to Stadia. It would be awesome for them to see this and get to meet a load of content creators and experience what we've had since we all sort of came to the platform. I know that's largely why this Triple S is happening again quite so soon, because we kind of all discussed it afterwards, didn't we? And it was such a great event, but it took a lot of organising and it took a lot of effort to get it off the ground. And I know that took me a good sort of 3 days to kind of get back to normal again afterwards. Just it was like a really long hangover with no alcohol for me, actually.
With this, it was just with the current situation and with base launching, it just seemed like the perfect time. I think we all were sort of in agreement it wasn't going to be for months.
Yeah.
But circumstances just have taken over, and I think it's just we want to give everybody a good show, and you can come and make fun of me, come and make fun of anybody you want. Just come and enjoy the show.
I feel like I may get the brunt of that.
Also, I just want to put this out here. Not all the Stadia creators are going to be involved. It's not because they don't want to. It's just because of time commitments and other things. There's no one being left out on purpose or anything like that. It is just there's no room or times don't suit or anything like that. So there's no favoritism. There's no nothing. This is just run down the middle.
Yeah, everyone's invited. So that effectively wraps up our show, really. I know that we've got a section where we take questions from the viewers, but I think we've addressed everything that's been said in the chat, as far as I'm aware, unless there's anything you guys want to highlight that I've missed.
I've just seen Duncan's tweet, and I'd like to highlight that. What actually happens if you click the hashtag? Does it exist? No, it doesn't.
Is it because you spelled Stadia wrong?
Oh yeah, Stadia.
Yeah,
he spelt it how they say it when you turn it on.
Yep, exactly. So that will teach me to try and rush type things. So, but the thing is, we might just We might do something naughty now.
What? Delete it and re-upload?
No, I own my mistakes. It's staying out there.
He's just trying to get as many hashtags as possible that all go to the same thing. Does that hashtag exist?
What? Don't subscribe to Stadia Arcadia?
Yeah, no results. Don't know if you can actually search it like that though.
Yet.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and just give a quick shout out to our Patreon subscribers as well, as we do every show. So let me just get this up on the screen. We've got Michael Nakarato, LXIV, Brian of Club Stadia, Brandon Harmon, and we've got an anonymous. You know who you are, and thank you again. A new one, Ollie S, who's the silver Patreon, and of course Adam from Stadia Rocks as well. Thank you very much to all of you. It is much appreciated. And if anybody else is wanting to potentially become a patron of ours, there's a link at the bottom of our website here and here as well. We've got different tiers. Each has different perks that you can obtain, be it access to members-only Discord chats, game invites to us playing Stadia. We've even got merchandise to send out to the top tier as well. So go ahead and have a look at them and see if there's any tiers that suit your recommendations. So
yeah, thanks very much for all you guys that have subbed to the Patreon. It's seriously awesome to think that people actually want to give us money for what we do. It's funny. And
of course, every donation as well goes straight back into the site as well. So obviously to cover things like server costs and Tommy's beer allowance. Yeah.
Whoever's, I'm guessing it's Duncan that's just posted another tweet. You've retweeted the wrong tweet.
Get better at Twitter, Duncan. Thank you, Raf, for stopping by.
Yeah, you too, buddy. You need a rest.
Yeah, I think we all need a rest. I think some of us are burning out hard at the moment.
Oh, Kelly. How the tables have turned, Duncan. Hide from that one.
Go on.
Let me just share my screen for a moment, shall we?
I got it.
Yes, there it is. I think that sounds like a great idea.
In his minion costume.
They do have no swimming shorts as well. They they do have a co-op mode.
What, online?
I haven't tried it. Possibly.
I was going to say one of you is going to have to take a flight otherwise.
There's only boats over here, and I don't do boats.
That could be interesting. Triple S live from Ireland. We'll all go. So
I think that about wraps up our show. So everybody, thank you for watching as always. Is there anything else you guys want to add?
Duncan's dying to say something.
I've just been told I'm going to get it bought for me.
Oh, what?
Going to get it bought for him. Kelly's going to buy it for him.
Do it while the songs are on Pro as well.
Yep, don't worry, I will do it, but with nowhere.
So do any of you guys want to plug your separate Twitters or YouTube? I think everyone pretty much knows where to find you guys now.
I'll let him do it for me. My minion.
My minion? I'm not plugging your channel. Too many people have been not following the first rule of Stadia. You do not follow or subscribe to Stadia Arcadia.
Ash, are you awake?
No.
So, of course, obviously find us on stadiasource.com as well. You can also find us on the Stadia Source Twitter account and Facebook. follow us on YouTube if you haven't already. I think we're close to 400 subscribers now, so yeah, that means absolutely a lot to us if you could subscribe as well and smash that thumbs up if you haven't already. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up if everybody's done.
Can I just do a wee quick plug to just say that out? Okay.
Go ahead.
Just we've got the weekly roundups now in video form. If it hasn't been put up on the webs or on YouTube, it will be being put up either probably tomorrow. I'm trying to get them out, and I'm thinking of actually doing it live on a Friday night instead of doing it pre-recorded, because I think it might be easier and just get it out quicker.
Cool. I'll have a look at that afterwards, see if we can get it out. All right. Thank you guys for stopping by. I'm going to end this before it turns south. Right.
It's very safe for me.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I definitely don't subscribe to Stadia Arcadian. Bye.